Good day, everybody. Welcome to the Michael and Patty podcast, a completely unscripted podcast all about Prince Edward Island real estate, sharing our almost 40 years of full-time PEI real estate experience and covering subjects just generally about the island living, island society, and things you need to know, tips, tricks, and traps of living in PEI. Say hello, Patty.
Hi, everybody. Yes, and real estate, which is probably our favorite topic that we talk about all the time.
Right. So guess what happened to me this week?
What happened this week?
Well, thanks for asking. I listed a house, and I also had an opportunity to look at some other listings that had been on the market for a while, and some of them transacted. And sitting back, I had to think, after doing this for over 25 years, I always thought that there's some key ingredients. And I think there's a certain level of motivation and excitement that I had to have about a property before I took it on to market it. Evidently, that's not always the case. When I listed this property this week, I looked at the past descriptions because they're always a good source of insight from different agents, owners, and vendors' perspectives. And I noticed the first description was one line long. This is about a 4,000 square foot home with a half a dozen bedrooms and tons of bathrooms on a large lot. And all they wrote was, Bay Executive Home, good location. What do you think about that?
That's not the first time I would have said I've seen that, but I think, unfortunately, the previous owners probably lost out on a lot of opportunity and even maybe some money that could have cost the seller.
No, it probably did. The other thing I looked at is I looked at a listing that was on for an insane amount of time on the market. The house in itself was very nice. It seemed to be priced appropriately. But when I looked at the pictures, they were just absolutely horrible. In fact, not only were they horrible, but it's almost like the agent went out of his way to take pictures that would affect things adversely, like neighboring industrial sites and drone photos from, positions of satellites that showed the entire city, and in the middle was this house crowded in on its tiny little lot. However, this house is transacted. Turns out the owner has a cousin that's a professional photographer. He redid the photos because he too had a very dim view of the agent's iPhone photos that were taken while he was covering his eyes. Surprise, surprise, the house transacted within a few days of changing those photos. The point I'm making here is when you go to list a property, your whole exposure to planet Earth now is electronic, and it's on the internet, mainly through REALTOR.ca. And then following that, it would probably be through YouTube and other social media sites and newsletters and so forth. When you list a property, the agent, first of all, even though, the island, everyone's a cousin, uncle, brother, and since half the island is licensed now, because when things are good, everyone gets their real estate license. That's quickly changing now with market conditions and interest rates. But if you don't have an agent that's enthusiastic and doesn't have the team and the know-how to promote your property, you're going to end up losing thousands, if not tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars in that sale, depending on your price point, because you're not exposing the property as you should. Take, for instance, McDonald's. They'll spend, a week photographing that Big Mac. They just don't call Bob from the marketing department and tell him to bring his iPhone down and take a quick pic of the burger he picked up that afternoon for lunch. Would you agree?
No, I would completely agree.
So when you list a property, people are going to go on the internet. First thing they're going to do is they're going to look at the first 5 photos. That needs to be the best photos, and those photos have to accentuate the location and invoke emotion, lifestyle. What else?
Absolutely. And I would say, and I tell my seller clients, that typically is your first viewing. If you were to look at by the time a purchaser shows up in a seller's home, their first viewing is those first primary photos that you'd mentioned, the first 5. If those first 5 photos pull them in, then they're going to click in for more details and see if the property specs meet their needs. Would you agree?
Patty, no, I would not agree.
Oh, okay.
I would say they're probably going to look at all the other photos, and typically we had a total of 31 photos. Recently, that's been changed. Now we can have more photos. I don't think more is better. I think the photos that you have should be those photos that are conducive to showing the property off in the best light possible, triggering the buyer to visit the property. Make sense?
Yeah, your photos are your first viewing. Whether they're looking at 5 or they're looking at 100, your photos are your first viewing. So I do disagree with your disagreeing of me.
Well, if you had 100 photos, wouldn't that be, unless it was a 10 or 15,000 square foot home, wouldn't that be a little problematic in that you're probably going to end up showing photos that are in a negative light?
Well, as long as the photos are just filler photos for the sake, if they are real, true highlights of the home, absolutely. But if you're trying to take a photo shoot of a home and make it look like it's from Home and Gardens, where, you're taking a picture of a flower on the kitchen counter just to try to make it look more bougie of an experience looking through the photos, I am not 100% in support of those. And we don't need to see the walk-in closet. We don't need to see the utility room.
Garbage bins.
Yeah, so those photos are unnecessary. And again, going back to McDonald's or any other big marketing company, like any big company out there, they only show the best photos. If you're interested in the product, you will go and experience it for yourself.
But I have to have lots of drone photos, don't I? Because everybody has a drone now, and that's the big thing.
Oh, well, see, I would disagree with that too, because sometimes drone photos, you have to know what property would benefit from having drone photography. Would you say taking drone photography on a house in the city would be smart or not smart, Michael?
I think unless it's on an acre or 2 acre lot and you're trying to show vastness, keep in mind aerial photography, which started off with agents like myself flying around in the Cessna, originally was intended for large waterfront properties. It wasn't intended to take grandma's house that's in Sherwood on a 0.01 acre lot and demonstrate that her house is jammed within 500 other houses as a result of the drone photography. So again, it's about the right photos done by a photographer that is trained in photographing houses. Could I hire my wedding photographer or maybe a landscape photographer?
And not unless they have architect experience in photography.
What about the guy that shot the cheeseburger?
Probably not. Different type of photography.
Right. So shooting a house, and this is coming from the photographers, is probably the most difficult thing you could ever shoot because of its size, because of the various levels of light.
Michael, how many people have we interviewed for photography positions and they bring in some pictures of a flower or something of interest and they're looking to work for us as a real estate photographer, and unfortunately they just don't understand. I mean, we've had to turn quite a few away.
Right. And real estate photography is an art in itself, and it also gets into the psychology of real estate. And that's why some agents like Patty have taken psychology courses on real estate photography. We've both taken lots of photography courses, so we know what to look for. But the photographers we hire should be better than us. Now that we've beaten that to death, get good photos done, and also make them seasonal. I noticed one agent here that should remain nameless, name's Patty Campbell, has a house on the internet that has snow in it. Is this located up a mountain I'm not aware of?
No, the snow season, I can send my photographer out and get okay, snow is gone, let's get those photos done, and then get the next set. The other problem is, and I think I know the property that you were referring to, we just have to wait for the laneway to dry out because the seller does not want any traffic on it. So as soon as the frost comes out of the ground, it's nice and dry, we are good with having, we're actually going to be getting a video done in the season because we did list that during the winter.
Right. And what message does that send to the buyer if there's snow in the picture and there's no snow on the ground, or it's the middle of summer?
Either the property it shows how many days on market for the first thing. And the second, it also shows that maybe perhaps this realtor or real estate professional is not on top of their business.
And what does that do for me as a purchaser as far as my negotiating ability?
Well, a purchaser would look at that saying, well, clearly from the pictures, without even having to check the days on market, this property has been sitting for a little while. There's a good chance this seller may be motivated, and I may be able to stand an opportunity to get the price down. So that works against the seller.
They're going to bring in a lowball offer. After the pictures, and you've sold them and that, you've shown them just enough to tinkle their fancy. Is that a phrase?
I don't know. You've enticed them.
You've enticed them for more. The next thing they're going to do, in all likelihood, is they're going to read the description, because it's the biggest piece of that page next to the photos, and it's right below it. And that description should be more than one line. We have 2,000 characters. Use them. And use them in a sense that you're going to draw a lifestyle or an environmental picture of that property, what you enjoy about it, what is the surroundings like, what's the neighborhood like. We're not going to get into R20 insulation, how many bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage. That's all there. What isn't shown in the pictures or the specifications of that property should be described in the description in a sense that it makes them all warm and fuzzy. Tell us quickly about your client there that you made an offer on the property yesterday.
Oh, yes. So I had a piece of land listed since the winter. It's not been on the market for a long time, and land does take a little bit longer to sell. But when they read the description of the property, it completely excited them to want to purchase this property. They called me right away and asked if it was available, and let me know that they had a very strong interest, but they needed to work at putting the funds together. That took a few months for them to do. They finally got their funds together. We met yesterday at the office. She had shared with me, now she had originally purchased a piece of property back in the 70s, and the very thing that she said got her excited about Prince Edward Island and the way she would view it, and how she had envisioned her experience of owning a piece of property on PEI, I captured in that overview. So she had read it many, many times and was so excited and very motivated to work very hard to get the money together, and then brought it up at my meeting with her, it was a family purchasing it, and just said, "You did such an excellent job. I would read that often just to keep me motivated," because of the visualization that she got from reading that description.
Would it be fair to say that you're a poet and didn't know it?
And no, I would not say that.
It sounds like it was very well written. In the description, I was going to say after the description, but there's still other things we need to carry on with the description or cover. What that is I usually, right at the top, tell them there is a video. Click on the multimedia link. If you don't tell people that, they're not going to look for the video, and the video is kind of insignificant the way it's set up. It's just a little button they push, so they miss it. The other thing I do at the top, because people want everything instant, like TikTok or shorts on YouTube or tweets, I give them 4 or 5 key points about that property. What are the biggest selling points of that property? Then in this instance, the property I'm listing this week, it's an acre land. You're not going to see that anywhere in Charlottetown typically. It's a massive piece of property. I also highlight other things like immediate occupancy. They can move in tomorrow. These are things a lot of off-island buyers wishing to move here like this week can't do with most properties. So on the top, I have the key highlights in uppercase, and at the bottom, I also have arrange your virtual showing. Not a lot of people realize they can have a showing via Skype, FaceTime, Google Meet, whatever. I also put that in there so they're aware of that. A lot of properties are being sold sight unseen, and this will just help to facilitate that. After that, they look to the video, and what else?
Yeah, so first showing, again, this is my opinion, and is the photos. Photos are very important. If they really like the photos, they're going to click through for more information. They're going to look at the details. Does it have the right specs? The number of bedrooms, bathrooms, garage, no garage, views. If those meet their needs, they read the overview. Tell me the story about the property. If they like that, hopefully they click through. And like you said in your overviews, you make sure that they are aware there's a video on this property. They click through, they look at the video. By that point in time, if their booking is showing, Michael, I'm pretty confident on one of your properties, and I know this is my methodology as well, they're already almost sold themselves. The property has sold themselves. The marketing piece has sold them on the property. And now they just need to get in and confirm, experience, and make that decision.
Well said. And we're up to almost 16 minutes, so I think we're going to end this episode. There is a lot more to cover in preparing your house for sale.
That could be the next episode.
Well, it could be, or maybe not. Maybe you just keep it to ourselves as a big secret.
Oh, maybe I think we should share what they need to know in preparing their home for sale.
We can do that. That will be the next episode. Well, thank you everyone for watching. It's great to have you joining us here on the Charlottetown waterfront, where our studio is located in the truck. And we hope you subscribe to the podcast and join us once again.
Yeah, until next time, have a great day.